Ramanujan for G is now available on the Google Play Store. Try it out for free.
So hello students, we are going to study about this electrolytic cells and electrolysis, particularly about the electrolytic cells. We have seen earlier how it is constructed. If you remember this first lecture itself, I have discussed about the electrolytic cell. And what we know about this, that a single vessel we use, in that single vessel we use two different electrodes. One we call anode, which is given a positive polarity, and a cathode, which is given a negative polarity of the battery, and we use DC current to make certain chemical changes, and that chemical changes will be the non-spontaneous chemical changes that we perform using an electrolytic cell. So electrolytic cell is what we use, particularly that kind of reactions which is non-spontaneous. So electrolytic cell is the device that we use where we use electrical energy to facilitate non-spontaneous chemical reactions. So this is the electrolytic cell, electrochemical device. Electrolytic cell is an electrochemical device that uses electrical energy to facilitate a non-spontaneous redox reaction. And you have to remember this, that the cathode is given negative polarity, so cations will be attracted towards cathode. So if the cations of the electrolyte solution will be attracted towards cathode, and what we know, whether what it is a Daniell cell or electrolytic cell, the reduction will always happen at the cathode. So these cations will accept electrons and will be reduced. So reduction will be taking place. So we will find there the pure material, and the cation will be moving towards, and the anionic part of the electrolyte will move towards anode because it is has obtained positive polarity, and so negative anions will be moving here, and anions will lose its electron, and so the pure material will be liberated, and this electron will now travel, and so it will reach to cathode for the and it will be used for the reduction purpose. And but we know the in the electrolytic cells also we use electrolyte solution, and the electrolyte actually carry electricity and conducts electricity inside the cell, and this kind of things we have already seen much earlier. So it was in the first class itself, introductory class, we have seen this thing. Now let's come to the topic again. So the electrochemical processes are of great importance in laboratory and chemical industry, that it's a very common thing and that we know. So in an electrolytic cell, external source of voltage is used. External source of voltage means we use electricity, a battery, the DC current that we have seen one example is used to bring about a non-spontaneous chemical changes. So in the electrolytic cell, in the process of this electrolysis, what do? We perform some non-spontaneous chemical changes. So what the spontaneous chemical changes that we know, there is natural drive for that reaction to happen, and that natural drive, some energy will be released. Delta G for that process is negative, and that by whatever extent the amount the energy is negative for the product, that by that much amount what is, so that energy that one can use to perform the electrochemical work, and this is what the basic principle of electrochemical cells. But in the electrolytic cell, that was for the Daniell cell. In the electrolytic cell, which is also electrochemical cell, we do a reverse process. Reverse process means we use electricity to perform a non-spontaneous chemical reaction. And so non-spontaneous, so one of the simplest electrolytic cells that consists of two copper strips dipped in aqueous solution of copper sulfate, copper 2 sulfate I should have written. So copper 2 sulfate, which is cupric sulfate. If a DC voltage is applied to the two electrodes, then copper 2 plus ions discharge at cathode, and which is a negatively charged with the reaction. About the reaction that we see is C2 plus aqueous plus 2 electron, it gives copper solid. So the copper metal will be deposited at the cathode. So at the anode, what we see, because anode is also made up of copper, so at anode what we see the oxidation. So the copper will be oxidized, and so copper will be oxidized to copper 2 plus ions plus 2 electrons will be liberated. But the question that one can ask here is, the copper is deposited at cathode and the same copper is now oxidized at the electrode, means to keep the copper ion concentration in the electrolyte in the of the electrolyte will still be same. So in the aqueous solution. So why we are doing the same reaction? At the some place we are depositing it, and some place we are just oxidizing it or dissolving it into the electrolytic solution. The answer is we use impure material as anode. So if it is not only copper, some other materials are also used. There are, it is made up of copper. It makes the anode, means the copper is not in the pure form. It is impure material. Some kind of impurity is also there. So at that case, what will happen even if you use that material, the impure material, impure copper, what will happen? It only copper ions will be dissolved, and only copper will be dissolved into the copper ions. What does it mean? And here at the cathode, pure copper will be deposited. So this is what will you do? You will purify copper. So and this by electrolytic processes, the electrolysis, people obtain 99.99% of the purity. So thus copper is dissolved at anode and deposited. Usually anode is made up of impure materials, and this is what we know. This I have explained. This is the basis for an industrial process in which impure copper is converted into copper of high purity, more than 99.99% of the purity we obtain. So the impure copper is made an anode that dissolves on passing current, and pure copper is deposited at the cathode. And to see this, how simple and elegant idea people have used and devised for the purifying the metals using electrolysis. So the many metals like sodium, magnesium, aluminum are produced on large scale by electrochemical reduction of their respective cations, where no suitable chemical reducing agents are available for this purpose. So what we know, if the very highly reactive metal ions, particularly, they themselves have very low reduction potential. So their oxidation potentials are very high. So only few elements like lithium and only are there which can actually, which reducing potential is less than these metals, and that difference is also not very high. So what the thing is, how will we then reduce such metals? And what we extract sodium out from the NaCl, the rock salt. So from the NaCl, how will we obtain sodium until unless we don't reduce sodium ion to sodium metal? And we know that its reduction potential is very low, so reducing it is very difficult. So hard way. So what people do, again the very simple thing, we use the pure electrons to reduce the things. And from which, where we will get the pure electrons? So from the electricity, we know what it is. It's a movement of electrons that we see. So in place of just a material using and making that material oxidized and then reducing things, so what you can do, you can use just electrons in the form of electricity and reduce this kind of sodium or magnesium ions, which are very highly reactive. And some highly reactive in the form is their reactivity is because of the losing electrons and not for gaining electrons. So they are highly reactive because they can easily lose electrons. So gaining electron is difficult for them, but gaining electron, this we see, as we know that their tendency to donate electrons, so their tendency will be very less to accept the electrons, and that will be the non-spontaneous reaction. If you want them to get reduced and you want to get them reduced, so electrons we use in the form of electricity. And so on large scale, by electrochemical reduction of their respective cations, where no suitable chemical reducing agents are available for this purpose, and this I have already explained. So sodium and magnesium metals are produced by the electrolysis of their fused chlorides, and this we have seen in the chemistry of S block elements, group 1 and group 2, how sodium and magnesium chloride are used to obtain sodium and magnesium, pure sodium and magnesium metals. And but we know the magnesium chloride, if the impurity is used a certain impurity in the sodium chloride, its melting point is decreased. So melting point is decreased, so at the lower temperature it will be melted, so you will get a molten salt. And once you get a molten salt, then you can do electrolysis, and so to get the pure metal. Now let us look at, as we have seen, the electrolysis or the electrodeposition or even the dissolution of the metal. So there are, how will we find out how much, what amount of a metal will be deposited, or even what amount of metal will be dissolved, as in the case of example, if we take the example of copper, how much copper will be dissolved at the anode and how much, what amount of copper will be deposited at cathode. So to find out that things, the quantitative aspects of electrolysis was actually for the first time studied by Michael Faraday, and he proposed two laws based on his experiments, and he published actually these laws in the form of research paper in 1833 to 34. He published this thing in the form of following, and these laws, he, for whatever his outcome of his research, is actually published in the form of two laws, and those laws we call the first and second law of Faraday, or first law of Faraday for the electrolysis. What we call the Faraday's law of electrolysis. So Faraday did extensive investigation on electrolysis of electrolyte solution and their melts. Their melts mean the molten electrolytes. And he published his results during 1833 to 34 in the form of following well-known Faraday's two laws of electrolysis. The first law was the amount of chemical reaction which occurs at any electrode during electrolysis by a current is proportional to the quantity of electricity passed through the electrolyte solution or the melt. Not when the electrolyte solution is the aqueous solution of electrolyte, or the electrolyte melt means the molten electrolyte, or the liquid electrolyte, you can say, or the electrolyte in the liquid form. So the quantity of electricity when we are talking about, you should remember that we are talking about the electric charge. So the quantity of the amount of reaction, which what kind of reaction that will take place at anode, it is mostly the oxidation, and oxidation, if the cathode anode itself the material is getting dissolved, it means the dissolution is the process. Another process is the deposition, electrodeposition, that we have seen at the cathode for the copper electrode. Other thing is sometimes we also see certain gases are liberated. So these kind of chemical reactions, the dissolution or deposition or the liberation of the gases, these are the chemical reactions that happen. And so the amount of this chemical reaction, the mass of the liberated, deposited, or the dissolved material, is what it is proportional to the quantity of electricity or the charge that is used for this purposes. The electric charge, and what we know about the electric charge, it is equal to the electric current into the time for which this electric current is used, or it is flown. So the thing is, and the second law of the Faraday was what? The amount of different substances liberated by the same quantity of electricity passing through the electrolytic solution are proportional to their chemical equivalent weight. And the equivalent weight, we'll also see how the equivalent weight is defined. And so equivalent weight, if you know, the chemical equivalent weight, which is equal to the atomic mass of the metal divided by number of electrons required to reduce the cation. So the metal and the corresponding metal cation will be there. So the number of electrons which are required to reduce that metal cation into the metal, that is what, if you divide that number by the atomic mass of the metal, or the molar mass divided by that, because we know the atomic mass which is reported in the AMU, atomic mass unit. If you take same quantity, same number, and just change the unit, take the gram per mole, so you will get the molar mass, and so the molar mass will be there. So the molar mass, you divide molar mass by this number of electrons required to reduce the cation. For the cation, it is divided. So similar thing you use for the anion as well. So there the electrons that are released to reduce to oxidize the anion. So that same way, so this we call the valency factor. So atomic mass divided by the, for the metal or anion, divided by the valency factor, or that we use for the to calculate the equivalent weight, or the chemical equivalent weight. And this is what it actually, there is the basis, also the basis of the law of electrochemical equivalence, that we'll see in some other chapter. So what we know at that point, what here, that Q is equal to IT. What the electric current is? What it is? The rate of the flow of charge, rate of flow of charge, or rate of flow of electrons. So the charge is what? Q, rate of flow of charge. So Q divided by T is the electric current. So Q is equal to IT. This formula we know, and this formula we do right now. It means I, the electric current, is a constant current. Then you can use Q is equal to IT. If the current is not constant, so this formula you cannot use, you may have to integrate it. The thing is, at the time of Faraday, there was no constant current source available, and so the general practice was to put a coulometer, which is a standard electrolytic cell, for determining the quantity of electricity passed from the amount of metal, which generally were silver and copper, deposited or consumed. So this law of electrolysis given by Faraday was actually used to find out how much amount of electricity one can measure, also how much amount of charge or the electricity is actually been flown or used. But nowadays, what we know, this coulometer, using coulometer is obsolete, or now we don't use it. We currently have a constant source of electricity, and they are available, and the quantity of electricity Q passed is given by Q is equal to IT. So we have constant source of electric current, and constant source of electric current, it means it will give the same amount of electric current throughout, like the batteries that we use in watches. If you won't give same amount of electricity or electric current that all through its life, this watches will not work properly. So it will become slow later on. But we have a constant source of electricity currently, and so this formula Q is equal to IT we can use. So where Q is in coulomb, C is the symbol of coulomb, which is the SI unit of charge, where an I, the electric current, is in ampere, which is also the SI unit of electricity, and time T is in second. So time T is in second, and second is also what we know, the SI unit of time. So the amount of electricity or the charge required for oxidation or reduction depends on stoichiometry of the electrode reaction. For example, in the reaction, what does it mean? That the amount of electricity required for oxidation reduction, again, you can, it depends on the stoichiometry of reaction. So suppose the stoichiometry of reaction, some of the reactions, it requires the metal ion, it requires only one electron to be reduced. Like for example, you see here Ag plus accepts one electron become Ag, or the Na plus, it only requires one electron per ion to get reduced to sodium metal, sodium atom. Similarly, H plus requires only one electron. The thing is, however, we may have certain reactions like Mg2 plus. Mg2 plus requires two electrons to get reduced to Mg solid or the magnesium atom. Or similarly, aluminium 3 plus requires 3 electrons to get converted into the aluminium metal. So the thing is, based on this, how many equivalents or how many moles of electrons are required per mole of the metal deposited, it defines how many equivalents of that metal is there in 1 mole of that metal. So if a metal requires only 1 mole of electron, 1 mole of metal requires only 1 mole of electron to get reduced from its corresponding cation. So there, in that case, the equivalent weight of metal will be equal to its molar mass or the molecular weight. However, if a metal, 1 mole of metal requires 2 moles of electron to get reduced from its corresponding ion, the cation, so it's 2 equivalents of this metal is there in 1 mole of that metal. So 2 equivalents of that metal is there in the 1 mole of metal, means 1 equivalent of that metal will be equal to the molar mass or the mass of 1 mole of that metal divided by 2. And these 2 we call the valency factor. Here what we have seen in this atomic mass divided by number of electrons required to reduce the cation. Here we have seen 2 electrons are required to reduce this cation. Now in the case of aluminium cation, aluminium requires 3 electrons to get reduced to aluminium 3 plus. What does it mean? It means 3 equivalents of aluminium are there in 1 mole of aluminium. So 1 mole of aluminium is equal to 3 equivalents of aluminium. It means 3 into equivalent weight of aluminium will be equal to the molar mass of aluminium. Thus, equivalent weight of aluminium will be equal to molar mass divided by 3. And so, if we take only one thing, this is for the cations. For anions, we will also see the similar example. For example, if you anion oxide ion. So if you want oxide ion to get oxidized to oxygen gas O2. So you need two O minus or two oxide ions to get oxidized to oxygen molecule. And here what we need, one oxide contains two electrons. So we 2 into 2, 4 electrons need to be removed to convert or to make this oxide, two oxide ions into oxygen molecule. And so the valency factor there will be 4. And valency factor is 4. It means what? It means the 1 mole of oxygen molecule will contain 4 equivalents of oxygen. 1 mole of oxygen molecule contains 4 equivalents of oxygen. It means 4 into equivalent weight of oxygen will be equal to the molar mass of oxygen, and thus equivalent weight of oxygen is equal to molar mass of oxygen divided by 4. This 4 again we call valency factor. So the molar mass, one equivalent weight of oxygen, you can easily find out. It will be 32 into 16, which is the mass number of oxygen divided by 4, and the 32, it is 8. And in the case of volume, if you like, similar to equivalent weight, we also define equivalent volume. So whatever the 1 mole of, if 1 mole of oxygen at STP contains 22.2, has the volume 22.4 liter, then 1 equivalent will be equal to 22.4 divided by 4, the valency factor, because the 1 mole contains 4 equivalents. So 1 equivalent will be equal to 1 volume of 1 mole divided by 4, and that 4 is the valency factor. So 22.4 divided by 4, it will be 5.6 liters only. So the amount of electricity, again I am coming, required to for oxidation or reduction. Oxidation we have seen in the case of oxygen that I have said, and in the case of reduction, the metals that we are looking at. So depends on the stoichiometry of electrode reaction. For example, in the reaction that we see, Ag argentum ion aqueous plus 1 electron, it gives silver metal. 1 mole of this electron is required for reduction of 1 mole of silver ion. Now in the case of electrons, if you see, electron has only one charge, one negative charge. So for the charge on the electron is only 1, and we are not making any change to electrons. So what happens? 1 equivalent of electrons is equal to 1 mole of electron. So 1 mole of electron you can also call 1 equivalent of electron, and both have the same charge, and which will be equal to the 1 farad charge, and that we had seen earlier when I explained Nernst equation. So here we also see, so 1 mole of electron is required for the reduction of 1 mole of silver ion. We know that the charge on 1 electron is equal to 1.6021 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Therefore, charge on 1 mole of electron will be what? It will be equal to the Avogadro number into charge on 1 electron. And the value of this, if you put 6.022 into 10 to the power 23, this multiplying this, you will get 96487 coulomb per mole. 96,487 coulomb per mole, 96,487, depending on up to what place of the decimal you have taken the value of electronic charge. Based on that you get this value. Some books also report this value a little lesser than that. So depending on that to what extent you have seen, and but this charge 96,487, so 96487 coulomb per mole, means approximately consider this as 96,500 coulomb per mole. 96,500 coulomb per mole. If you can remember this value, remember this. But please also remember that sometimes in some numerical questions this value is also provided. So you should know that this value will be approximately equal to this value. So whatever value or near this value is given, as I said, if you take this value only at 1.602, the value of this will be a bit smaller. If you consider this electronic charge as only 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, so that value will be further reduced. So depending on that, but you should remember that this value should not exceed 96,500. It will be slightly lower than that value. So for the electrode reactions that, as I have explained here, it is obvious that 1 mole of Mg2 plus requires 2 mole of electrons, and 2 mole of electrons means what? 1 mole of required means the 2 equivalents of magnesium are there in 1 mole of magnesium. and aluminum requires 3 mole of electrons, and 1 mole of electron we call 1 farad. 1F we represent, 2 moles of electrons will be 2F, and as I said, 1 mole of electron is what it is also called, one can call 1 equivalence of electron. So here 2 moles of electron you can also call 2 equivalents of electron, and 3 moles of electron will be equal to 3 equivalents of electron. The charge passed through the electrolytic cell during electrolysis is equal to the product of current in amperes and time in second, that we know Q is equal to IT, nothing but this the same equation that is explained here. In the commercial production of metals, current as high as 50,000 amperes are used, which is what in the farad it is 0.518 farad per second. So this much a very high current is used, particularly in the electrolysis or the reduction of metals, or the electrolysis of metals, or the commercial production of metals. So let us now take few numerical problems. A solution of copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed for 10 minutes with a current of 1.5 amperes. What is the mass of copper deposited at cathode? What we see the solution, the time that is given is 10 minutes. 10 minutes means equal to what? 10 into 60 seconds, so 600 seconds. Current is equal to 1.5 ampere that is given. So from this electric charge we can calculate, or the amount of electricity that there, or the quantity of electricity, the way the chemists use this term. So Q is equal to IT, and this Q is equal to I, value of I we can put here, and T it will be equal to 900 coulomb. So again I am saying this term, so the quantity of electricity that people talk, or the amount of electricity which is equal to the electric charge, and this term is very more frequently used, the amount of, or the quantity of electricity, which means nothing but the electric charge. So the chemical reactions happening at the cathode is what? So the chemical reaction for this, we know the copper ion will be deposited at the cathode. So Cu2 plus 2 electron will be equal to Cu solid. So what we know, the 2 farad charge means 2 into 96487 coulomb electricity is required to deposit 1 mole of copper, and 1 mole of copper is what? Its molar mass is 63 grams. So 63 gram of copper. So 63 gram of copper will be deposited if you use 2 farad of electricity, or the 2 farad charge means 2 into 96,487 coulomb. So if we use only 900 coulomb, so how much gram of copper will be deposited? That will be equal to what? 900 coulomb divided by this into the molar mass of copper, or the other way what one can do is this much coulomb, and what we know, 1 mole of the charge is what? 1 mole of this will be deposited when this much amount is used. So how many, to find out the number of moles of copper deposited, what we have to do? We have to divide this number by 2 into the farad constant, is 2 farad. And so, and once we know the number of moles of the copper, the number of moles of the copper means what? 2 into 1 farad means 2 farad charge will give 1 mole. So only this much charge will give what? So 900 divided by 2 farad charge, that much mole. And once we know the number of moles, if you multiply the number of moles with the molar mass, you will get the mass of the copper deposited in gram. And that is what we have done here. Other way is simply that we use, so 900 coulomb divided by 2 into the value of farad we have used here, coulomb per mole, and into 63 gram per mole, which is the molar mass of copper, and this is what we have used, and we get 0.2938 on solving this value. Now, if the current of 0.5 ampere flows through a metallic wire for 2 hours, then how many electrons would flow through the wire? This is the question that we have to solve. Remember here, note here that the electricity is what? 0.5 ampere, and this electricity is passed for 2 hours through the metallic wire. So the 2 hours, so with that we can calculate the amount of charge. So Q is equal to I into T. Once you know the charge, so you can find out the number of electrons, because from the charge you can find out the number of moles of electrons, because we know 1 mole of electron contains a 1 farad charge. So from the, if you divide the whatever the charge that is there by the farad constant, you will get the number of moles of electrons. And once you know the number of moles of electrons, You multiply that number with the Avogadro number, you will get the number of electrons. And this is what we are going to, we have done. I have done here. So the current is given I is equal to 0.5 ampere and time t is equal to 2 hours. 2 hours means 2 into 30. We know 1 hour is equal to 3600 seconds. 60 into 60, 3600 seconds. So it will be 7200 seconds. So 7200 seconds. So charge flown through the wire will be equal to Q is equal to I into T, and value of I is this and time in second is this. So we get 3600 coulomb charge. So 3600 coulomb charge means what? How many moles of electrons? So this is the total charge, and we know 1 mole of electron contains 1 farad charge. So the number of moles of electrons will be equal to the charge, the negative charge, value of charge divided by 1 farad. And so Q divided by F will give the number of moles of electrons. So 3600 coulomb divided by 96,487 coulomb per mole. So this will we get 0.0373 on solving this mole of electrons. So now we know the number of moles of electrons, and we multiply this with the Avogadro number here. We get the total number of electrons, and this value is what we have obtained, 2.247 into 10 to the power 22 electrons. Now let's try to solve this question. So consider the reaction. This is the dichromate ion plus 4H plus 6 electron. It gives 2Cr3 plus 7H2O. What is the quantity of electricity in coulombs needed to reduce 1 mole of dichromate ion? So this chemical reaction that we see, that is already given here. What we see here, per mole of dichromate ion we require 6 moles of electron, or the per dichromate ion we require 6 electrons. So per mole 6 moles of electrons. So the 6 moles of electrons are required, that we know, to reduce 1 mole of dichromate moiety, or the 6 moles of, it means that this is what we know. So 1 mole, it is a 1 mole of dichromate. What is the electricity that is required? So what we know, 6 moles of electrons are required, and we know what is the charge of 1 mole of electron. So the 6 moles of electrons will contain how much charge that we can use? So 6 F charge, because F is the farad constant, and farad constant is, it means that the number, the charge on 1 mole of electron. So 6 into F, the value of F we put 6 mole into this 9,648, 96,487 coulomb per mole, and just multiplying this we get this much coulomb charge, and this which is called amount quantity of electricity. So quantity of electricity, if it is saying, it means you have to find out the charge, the coulomb. It is not the I value of I. You don't have to find value of I. You should not get confused. Usually the electric current, if it is saying what is the electric current, then you have to find out the value of I. If it is saying amount or the quantity of electricity, or even sometimes normally electricity, it means it is asking about the charge, the total amount of charge that is required. So this is the answer. Now let us take this question. This was asked in IIT JEE 2008. So electrolysis of dilute aqueous NaCl solution was carried out by 10 milliampere current. So NaCl solution was done, electrolysis was done, and this was aqueous NaCl solution. So aqueous NaCl solution, the 10 milliampere current was used. The time required to liberate 0.1 mole of hydrogen gas at cathode is what? So what is given here? The value of current is given. What is not given is the time. So we do not know. From this way we cannot find out the charge, electric charge, or the amount of electricity, or the quantity of electricity that is used. But what we know here, it is given 0.01 mole of hydrogen gas at cathode is liberated, and this much amount of hydrogen gas is liberated. Then from this you can also find out how many equivalents of hydrogen gas is liberated. So let me again go to the laws. So what it says, the amount of different substances liberated by the same quantity of electricity. So this first law, let me first explain. So the amount of chemical reaction which requires certain electrode during electrolysis by current is proportional to the quantity of electricity pass through the electrolyte. It means what? If you use one equivalent of electricity, one equivalent of electricity means 1 mole of electricity means 1 mole of charge. If you use 1 mole of electric current, 1 mole of electrons, 1 mole of electrons, the charge will be equal to 1 farad. So one equivalent of that particular substance will be liberated or dissolved or will be what? It will be liberated or dissolved or deposited. A similar example that we see from the second law, the amount of different substances liberated by same quantity of electricity. The same quantity of electricity means some in terms of equivalent, if you remember the law of equivalence, quantity electricity passing through the electrolyte solution are proportional to the chemical equivalent weight. So if you will use one certain equivalence of electric charge, the same number of equivalents of different materials will be deposited or liberated or dissolved. So from the materials, whatever the amount or the number of moles is given, if you find out the number of equivalents of that material, then from there you can easily find out what amount of how many equivalents of electric current is used from the second law of the Faraday. So this we are going to do here. What is given? The required 0.01 mole of hydrogen gas at cathode is liberated. And what we know from the hydrogen, how the hydrogen will be produced? So hydrogen is usually in the form of H plus ion. H plus ion will move toward the cathode, then only the hydrogen gas will be produced, because cathode reduction happens and cathode is given negative polarity, so only cations will be attracted towards that. Means one hydrogen, if you use one H plus ion, you will get only half H2 that will be produced. So get one molecule of hydrogen, which is actually the real entity H2, hydrogen is produced in the form of H2, you require 2H plus, and for 2H plus you require 2 electrons to get one hydrogen molecule. So for hydrogen molecule, or for the hydrogen, 1 mole of hydrogen contains, because it requires 2 mole of electrons, so it contains 2 equivalents of hydrogen. So if 0.01 mole of hydrogen is liberated, it means how many equivalents of hydrogen is liberated? It means 0.01 into 2 means 0.02 equivalents of hydrogen will be liberated. If 0.02 equivalents of hydrogen is liberated, it means 0.02 equivalents of electricity was used. And electricity 0.0 equivalent electricity means 0.0 equivalent charge, and 0.0 equivalent charge means 0.0 into charge on one equivalent of electron, and one equivalent of electron is what? The Faraday constant, or the farad, 1 farad, which is 96,487, and you just 0.02 into that value, whatever you get, the electricity, the value of electricity, the amount of charge, and from the amount of charge, the electric current, value of electric current is given 10 milliampere. The value of Q is given, and value of you have obtained, and the value of I is already given. So time, you can easily find out the time will be equal to what? The charge divided by electric current. Let us now see the answer is this, option C. Let us see how it can be solved. Whatever I have explained, it is just I have written down as well. So I is equal to 10 milliampere. 10 milliampere means 10 into 10 to the power minus 3 ampere. Milli means 10 to the power minus 3. It means it is 10 to the power minus 2 ampere. And time is not given, we have to find out. But what is the reaction for the liberation of hydrogen is what? 2H plus requires 2 electrons to get converted to H2. So to liberate 1 mole of hydrogen, 2 farad charge is required from 2 electrons. So for 1 mole, we require 2 moles of electron, and 1 mole of electron is 1 farad. So 2 moles of electron is 2 farad charge. So 2 farad charge is required. Therefore, to liberate 0.01 mole of hydrogen, we require 2 into, for 1 mole we require 2 farad. So 0.01 mole we require 2 into 0.01 farad. And 2 into 0.02 farad, this value charge will be required. And now this value 0.02 farad, we can convert it into the coulomb. So 0.02 farad means is equal to 0.0 into 96,487 coulomb. This is equal to 1929.74 coulomb, which is value of Q, the total charge. Now the value of Q is given, the value of I is already provided, the value of Q we have obtained, the value of I is already given. So we can obtain the value of T, the time will be equal to Q divided by I. This should be a small case later because I am using that symbol. If there should be certain consistency. So Q divided by I, so this value of Q divided by I, 10 to the power minus 2, this value we get 1.93 into 10 to the power 5 second. So this should be 10 to the power 4 second. Somewhere again. So this actually this value is same. This is in the option, it is written 19.3 into 10 to the power 4 second. It means 1.93 into 10 to the power 5 second simply. So I have obtained the same answer. There is no error. Now again the same, the two laws of Faraday. Now is the different sentences, different way it is also explained here. I have just written down. Faraday's first law is what? The mass of a substance produced at an electrode. How it will be produced? Maybe because it is liberated in the form of gas or it is deposited. Also the produced at electrode during electrolysis is proportional to the number of moles of electrons transferred at that cathode. So the number of moles of electrons transferred at that cathode is proportional to a number of moles of electrons. How will you get? So this by this way. So the M will be proportional to actually equal. So that this is the quantity of electricity. The number of moles of electron is the quantity of electricity. So M proportional to Q. So if you remove the proportionality constant, you have to add certain. If you remove proportionality, you have to add certain constant. So some that constant we call J, G, Z. Or into Q, one can write that is called the electrochemical equivalence. So that electrochemical equivalence people write in different form this way. This is the EQ divided by F. This EQ is what? The equivalent weight. Some people also represent it as E. So it depends whatever the notation you follow. We have followed here EQ, EL. EL means electrolyte. So this F is what? The Faraday constant, which one can use approximately as 96,500. And the Q is equal to I into T. So I into T, this equivalent weight divided by this value one can use. Now the second law of the Faraday's second law of electrolysis is what? The mass of a substance deposited or liberated at any electrode on passing a certain amount of charge is directly proportional to its chemical equivalent weight. So chemical mass is directly proportional to chemical equivalent weight. This is what the second law. In the other way, it means if we use two different substances and compare it, so their mass, if mass is proportional to equivalent weight, if mass of one substance that is deposited is M1 and its equivalent weight is EQ1, and the mass of another substance using the same amount of electricity deposited is M2 and its equivalent weight of the second substance is EQ2. So M1 proportional to EQ1 and M2 proportional to EQ2, this we know. So if you just take the divide these two equations and the proportionality constant, whatever you will be using, that will be cancelled out. So M1 divided by M2 will be equal to equivalent weight of 1 divided by equivalent weight of 2. Or what one can do is, if it is not a deposition, it is just liberation of certain amount of gas, and so measuring its mass is difficult, one can easily measure the volume of the gas. So the same thing one can use, M equivalent divided by volume of the gas, and that will be equal to equivalent weight of the solid substance divided by equivalent volume of the gaseous substance. And the equivalent volume, what we know for the hydrogen, it is 11.2, and the example we have seen for the hydrogen, the valency factor is 2, and if the 1 mole of hydrogen contains 22.2 liter at STP, so the one equivalent will be what? Equal to the molar volume divided by 2, the valency factor, and so that is 11.2 liter, 22.4 divided by 2. So this EQ that we have used here is what? EL is the equivalent weight of electrolyte, EQL is equivalent weight of electrolyte, which is nothing but molar mass divided by valency factor, and the valency factor is directly equal to the number of electrons taking part in 1 mole of that particular reaction. the deposition or the liberation of 1 mole of a particular substance. So if the gas, 1 mole of how many moles of electrons will be used to liberate 1 mole of the gas, and if it is metal or the electrolyte, something which is there in the electrolyte solution in the form of metal or something, so how many electrons are required to just deposit that 1 mole of that metal. So now the EV gas is what the equivalent weight of gas, and this is equal to the equivalent volume of the gas, and this is what the molar volume divided by valency factor. The simple. So valency factor is what we consider the number of electrons taking part in reduction or oxidation of 1 mole of a substance. So if 1 mole of substance, if how many number of electrons are required or taking part, based on that we can find out the valency factor, and thus with that we can easily find out the equivalent weight as well. So now let's see this question. So the weight of silver, which atomic mass is given as 108 mu, atomic mass will be in mu, displaced by quantity of electricity which displaces 5,600 ml of oxygen at STP will be. This is a simple question. One can easily say this will be the answer, because what we have just seen, the equivalent volume of oxygen is what, 5.6 liter. How it will come, I have explained it earlier. It is simply the valency factor in the case of oxygen is 4, and how it will be 4 I will show you. Other way to find out is simple. The oxygen, this is the oxide ion. Oxygen is evolved in from the oxide ion, where the oxygen is has the oxidation number is -2. So from -2 it became 0. So -2 it became 0. For 1 oxygen it became 0. But 2 oxide ions are required. So 2 oxide ions require, they will remove 4 electrons to become 1 O2. So the valency factor is 4. Valency factor is 4, but 1 mole of O2 at STP, we know it acquires 22.2 liter of volume. So the one equivalent of oxygen will acquire what? The 22.4 by 4 means 5.6 liter, and 5.6 liter means what? 5,600 ml. 5.6 into thousands of 5,600 ml of oxygen. So 5,600 ml of oxygen, if it is saying at STP, it means 56 divided by what? The equivalent volume. The volume divided by equivalent volume will give you the number of equivalents. This is a simple thing. So the mass divided by molar mass, it gives you the number of moles. So the mass divided by equivalent weight or equivalent mass will give you the number of equivalents. So volume divided by equivalent volume will give you the number of equivalents. So the volume divided by equivalent volume, which is also the same value, will give you 1, and 1 value of 1 is what? The number of equivalents. And from according to second law of Faraday, 1 equivalent of oxygen will be liberated. It means what? 1 equivalent weight of copper will also be displaced or deposited. So the same 1 equivalent of this, so 1 equivalent of this will be deposited. So 1 equivalent of copper will what? It will be equal to the molar mass of copper. A molar mass of copper, one can also say, because this is element, so it doesn't mean it doesn't. You should not get confused with the molecular mass or something. It's a molar mass. Molar mass, one can say for even for the element, and that is equal to the mass of 1 mole of that element. And 1 mole of element will be what? The atomic mass is given. So just change the unit, take it in a gram. So it will be the molar mass. So this was in mu, this is in gram. So one can easily get this. Let us see how one can see this. So evolution of oxygen at anode, what is the reaction that happens is oxygen there is in the form hydroxide ion goes at the hydroxyl ion goes at the anode, because anion will be attracted towards anode which obtain positive polarity, and that's anion OH minus ions of the water. Because of the ionization of water, it goes at anode and it liberates, it releases 4 electrons. It releases 4 electrons to convert to get O2 plus 2 water molecule will also be liberated. And those water molecules will be anyway in the electrolyte solution. So we obtain 1 mole of oxygen, and 1 mole of oxygen, to get 1 mole of oxygen, 4 electrons need to be released, need to be removed from the hydroxyl ions. So the valency factor is 4, and the equivalent volume of oxygen will be what? The molar volume of oxygen divided by valency factor, and molar volume of oxygen is 22.400 ml at STP, because this thing is at STP divided by 4, the valency factor. So the molar equivalent volume is what? 56,600 ml. So the number of equivalents of liberated oxygen is what? The volume of liberated oxygen divided by equivalent weight of oxygen. So the volume of liberated oxygen divided by equivalent weight of oxygen. So one equivalent. The number of equivalent of oxygen is 1. Thus the amount of electricity used is 1 farad. 1 farad means 1 equivalent electricity, and 1 electricity. So the similarly, same number of equivalent of copper will be deposited according to the second law of Faraday. So the amount of silver will be deposited is equal to 1 equivalent, and 1 equivalent is what? The equivalent weight of silver, because silver ion takes 1 electron to become silver metal, and so 1 mole of silver will be deposited, 1 mole of electron will be used, and 1 mole of electron will be means 1 Faraday of electron will be used. 1 Faraday of electron will be used means the equivalent weight and equivalent. But or the simply equivalent weight divided by 1, because valency factor is 1. So 108 gram of silver will be deposited. And this way we can solve this kind of questions. So now let us see the products of electricity. The products of electrolysis. So it depends on the two major factors. The product of electricity depends on two major factors. One is the nature of material being electrolyzed, and the nature of material being electrolyzed. There are also two things that we see: whether that this electrolyte material that we use it in the molten form and it is a pure substance, or it is a mixture. Or so if it is a pure substance, like suppose NaCl or MgCl2, that is one thing. But what we see for the to purify or to obtain sodium or the magnesium, we usually sodium in NaCl we mix some MgCl2 as well there, just to reduce the melting point of NaCl and melting point of NaCl. So it is what we use. We do use the mixture there. Other thing is whether it's a pure substance, whether we are using also the aqueous solution. The electrolyte is dissolved in aqueous solution. Once the electrolyte is dissolved in aqueous solution, then we have also some other ionic species, and those ionic species what? H plus ion and OH minus ion, because of the self ionization of water. So the products of electricity, and those hydroxyl ions and H plus ions will also be moving if the potential difference is created, and so the anion will be moving towards the anode, and cations means OH minus will be moving towards the anode, and H plus ion will be moving towards the cathode. So the nature of material being electrolyzed, and second thing is the type of electrodes being used. Type of electrodes being used means what? Whether the electrode is inert electrode. The inert electrodes do not take part in reaction, chemical reactions. Only whatever the electrolytes or the mixture that we use, only that mixture will take part in the reaction. Or if this electrode is not neutral, it's the active electrode, then what will happen? The electrode will also take part in the chemical reaction. For example, that we have seen in the case of copper electrolytic cell that we use for the purification of copper, because the electrode we have used anode, and anode it was getting dissolved. Copper ion was being produced at the anode, because anode was getting dissolved, and the cathode was at the cathode copper ion was deposited. So these electrodes were taking part in the reaction, and so these were active electrodes. If the electrode is not taking part in the reaction, it is just providing a surface for the reactions to happen, and also to conduct electrons or to allow the electrons to flow, then it is called the passive electrode or the inert electrode. More common term is the inert electrode, and the platinum and gold electrodes are generally considered as inert electrode. And these inert electrodes, what they do, they act only as a source or sink of electrons, also provide surface for the reactions to happen. I'm sorry. However, if the electrode is reactive, it participates in the electrode reactions, and that for the case of copper, that example we have seen. Thus, the products of electrolysis may be different for reactive and inert electrodes, and the products of electrolysis depend on different oxidizing and reducing species present in the electrolytic cell, means the nature of material being electrolyzed and their standard electrode potential as well. So it means if the electrode is inert electrodes, how the nature of material will affect the product of the electrolysis. So for example, if you use the molten NaCl, molten pure NaCl, if you use, you have only Na plus ion and Cl minus ion. Cl minus ion will move towards the anode and it will be oxidized to chlorine gas, and Na plus ion will be attracted towards cathode, which obtains negative polarity, so it will be attracted towards cathode, and at cathode it will meet electron and will be converted into the sodium metal. And so we know this is the only the product is what at the anode the chlorine gas will be liberated, and at cathode the sodium metal will be deposited. So now this is one example, but note here that some of the electrochemical processes, although thermodynamically feasible, are so slow kinetically that at lower voltage they do not seem to take place, and extra potential has to be applied, which makes such processes more difficult to occur. And this extra potential is called over potential. I'll explain this. So what does it mean? That when we are talking, when we are considering only the electrochemical reaction, it actually what we are saying, it is the spontaneous reaction or non-spontaneous reactions. If you remember my thermodynamic class, there I have explained this only talks about the thermodynamic stability of the product, relative stability of product with respect to the reactant. It doesn't talk about the barrier it passes through to get converted into the product, and each reaction involves certain barrier. And why that barrier is required? Because you have to break certain bond to form a new set of bond, and that kind of bond rearrangement happens during a chemical reactions, and bonds are generally thermodynamically, when during the formation of bond, energy is released. So if you have to break that bond first to make a new bond, and to break that bond you need to provide certain energy, and that energy is called, so that what by whatever amount you need to provide that energy is called the barrier for certain reaction. So most of the reactions have certain barrier, they are associated with certain barrier, and if they are associated with the certain barrier, even if you are just talking about the electrode potential, and it means you are just talking about the thermodynamic, relative thermodynamic stability of the product, because we know delta G naught is equal to minus NFE. A minus NFE, if you remember this equation I have explained earlier, that triangle, I hope, let me get there. This equation, delta G naught is equal to minus NF E naught. E naught says. So what does it mean? This E naught tells only about the delta G, the relative stability minus delta G divided by NF. Means it only talks about the relative stability of the product. It doesn't talk about the barrier. So if certain reaction involves certain barrier, so by just taking the value of E naught, you may not find out, you may not understand whether this reaction will happen or not. And people have seen that certain reactions, although based on the value of E naught, it appears that this reaction should take place, but it doesn't take place. And why? Because we need to provide extra energy to cross that barrier, because this barrier is very high barrier. It cannot be surmountable at normal room temperature, or the temperature at which the reaction is taking place. So when extra potential is required to make that reaction happen, and by whatever the amount that extra potential is being put, that is called the over potential. The normal potential, whatever the extra potential that is provided, and the potential other than the electrode potential for that particular half cell reaction, is called the over potential. And this over potential has to be applied, which makes such processes more difficult to occur, because these processes are associated with high barrier, high kinetic barrier, and high kinetic barrier means these reactions are very slow. The kinetic means the kinetic talks about the rate at which the reaction takes place. If the rate is high, it means the barrier is low. Rate is slow, it means the barrier is high. So, for example, during the electrolysis of aqueous solution of sodium chloride, the products are NaOH and sodium hydroxide, Cl2, and hydrogen gas, chlorine gas, and hydrogen gas. Because in this case, besides Na plus and Cl minus ions that I have just said, we also have H plus and OH minus ions along with the solvent molecules. The solvent is what? The water here, because it is the aqueous solution. So that cathode, what the possible chances? What are the possible reactions that may happen at cathode? Is what that cathode Na plus ions will be reaching and H plus ions will also be reaching. If you look at the standard reduction potential for the reduction of Na plus ion, it is minus 2.71 volt, and a standard reduction potential of H plus ions, this value is 0.01 volt. But this is, we are not reducing it. We have to reduce this value. And what we know, if the reduction potential, in the talking about reduction potential, something which is having higher value will be reduced first. This negative value means it has tendency to be oxidized. This has a greater tendency to be oxidized or not get reduced. So something which can easily get reduced will be reduced, and so hydrogen ion has a stronger tendency to get reduced than Na plus ion. So hydrogen ion will be reduced at the cathode. Preferentially, it will be reduced. So the reaction which with higher value of E naught, this value is higher because this is negative value. So this number is a larger number than this. So this note is preferred. Therefore, the reaction at cathode during electrolysis is this reaction. However, what we know, this H plus ion is coming from where? It is coming from the water molecule. So the water molecule is the ultimate source of H plus ion. So even what means otherwise, if H plus ion or some H plus ions will be used, and it will now hydrogen gas will be liberated, then H plus ion with the concentration will be less. So what we know, the value of Kw will reduce. So to maintain that value of Kw, water molecule will now again ionize to make that value of Kw constant, and that will be equal to 10 to the power minus 14, the ionic product of water. So now what does it mean? This H plus ion is coming ultimately from the water. So water molecule is actually giving us H plus ion plus OH minus ion. So if you add these two reactions, what you will get, this H plus ion and this H plus ion, the aqueous ions, that will be cancelled out. So this, the net reaction will be water plus electron is giving half oxygen, in this case a half hydrogen gas plus OH minus. So if you take 2 water plus 2 electron, hydrogen plus 2 OH minus. So ultimately what we are seeing here is water molecule is being oxidized. Water is being oxidized at the cathode ultimately in the real sense, and the cathode water is oxidized, sorry, not oxidized, it is reduced because it is accepting electrons. So water is being reduced, and you see here the electron is coming here. And how will be the reduction? The other way is the hydrogen is having +1 oxidation state in this case, and here hydrogen has 0 oxidation state. So hydrogen going from +1 to 0 is what? It is a reduction. So this water is getting reduced at the cathode. Now at anode, if you look at the possible reactions, so the chloride ion will be moving towards the anode, and similarly the water molecule will also reach there. And water molecule means ultimately OH minus ion. Basically OH minus ion is moving at the anode, but that OH minus ion, similar to this reaction, is also coming from water. So we have just considered water here. So Cl minus, it will remove it 1 electron, 1 Cl minus, and half molecules of Cl2 gas will be produced. So one can consider 2 Cl minus gives Cl2 plus 2 electrons. And so the water molecules here will be what? Water molecules will be accepting these electrons, and so it will be oxidized. And so how it is oxidized? Oxygen here is in -2 oxidation state becoming 0. -2 to 0 means what? The oxidation state has increased. And so this is the oxidation. And if you look at the E naught standard reduction potential of these two reactions, so this value is smaller. This value is smaller, and this is a reduction potential. I want to oxidize it. It means the lower value on the reduction potential, if the lower, whatever the reaction with the lower standard reduction potential value has the stronger tendency to be oxidized. And so this material will be oxidized. This reaction will be preferred. Ideally, it should be preferred. But what we see as the example of the over potential we are studying here, what we see in reality, that this reaction happens very slow. So certain over potential is required to make this reaction happen. So mostly this reaction will be preferred because this way has a very high barrier, and because of the high barrier, this reaction will be taking place at the anode. So the reaction at anode with lower E naught is preferred, and therefore water should get oxidized in preference to Cl minus aqueous. However, on account of over potential of oxygen, the oxidation of water requires certain, it has certain barrier, a high barrier. So this reaction will be slow and it requires certain over potential, and that over potential, whatever amount that you provide, that is more than this difference, that 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 is more than this difference, and so this reaction will be taking place first. So therefore, thus the net reaction may be summarized here as, so the first reaction will be happening. The net reaction, when you can write the NaCl, when it is dissolved in water, it is ionized. So Na plus aqueous plus Cl minus aqueous. Now at cathode, the reaction that we show, the net reaction at cathode is what? This one. And at anode, this reaction will be happening. So that cathode, this water plus electron, half hydrogen gas, this OH minus ion, and anode Cl minus. So because one electron we are using, so one can write half here. If you want 2 electrons, if you want to make this in the terms of integral value, that is what the convention that and that we usually do. So we have to multiply entire thing with 2. So let us half even with the half, it is, this reaction is okay, because it is stoichiometrically balanced. So net reaction will be what? NaCl plus water, this plus water, this Cl minus will be cancelled out, this electron will be cancelled out. So the net reaction, there will be NaCl plus water, means NaCl is dissolved in water, it provides NaOH, Na plus aqueous plus OH minus. The NaOH is a strong electrolyte, so it will be almost 100% ionized in water plus half hydrogen, and this hydrogen gas will be liberated at cathode. If no, because at cathode reduction has happened and at anode oxidation happens, so at anode the chlorine gas will be liberated. So in the aqueous solution, hydrolysis of aqueous solution of NaCl, we see the production of hydrogen at cathode and production of chlorine gas at anode. And thus, for the purification or to obtain NaCl, we don't use aqueous solution of NaCl. And why we don't use aqueous solution of NaCl? The reason is already explained, because you won't obtain NaCl, sodium metal, because sodium is not getting reduced there because of the presence of water. Some other reaction is happening which is more feasible at the given conditions. So the standard electrode potentials are replaced by electrode potentials given by Nernst equation to take into account the concentration effects. So once the concentration terms has come into the product or even to the reaction, so you have to use certain equations where these concentration terms are also used. And to do that, we have seen wherever the concentration are changing during a cell reaction or we use Nernst equation to find out the E cell at a given time, and a Nernst equation is equal to what? E cell is equal to E naught cell minus NF divided. E cell is equal to E naught cell minus RT divided by NF log product concentration of ionic product divided by concentration of ionic reactant, and that is the Nernst equation we need to use. So during the electrolysis of sulfuric acid, the following processes are possible at the cathode, and these are the possible reactions, and this reaction is preferred. Water is what it is at the anode is being oxidized to oxygen gas when the concentration of sulfuric acid is very less, and this reaction is this plus 1.23 volt. However, once the concentration of sulfuric acid is high, what we see this reaction taking place is very less, because it requires over potential, and this reaction will not happen, and the second reaction will be preferred. So that higher concentration of H2SO4, the last reaction is preferred, that is because of the over potential. So I'll stop here. There is one more lecture that I require to finish this chapter, and I'll do this in the next class.